Hi everyone, and welcome to XOXO Xander, the podcast. Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of this podcast. I can't believe we are finally here. I'm in the editing process, but I thought I would record a clip to insert at the beginning of this episode to kind of introduce myself and let you guys know why I'm doing this. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Xander Thompson, and I'm from Dallas, and I've always had the dream of creating this brand, XOXO Xander. I didn't know what exactly I wanted to become of it. Well, I did know that I wanted it to be a space where I was showcasing, a different side of me, a more vulnerable side of me. And I thought to enter, this phase of my life, or to enter this brand, I thought it would be cool to do a little podcast and share, some stories about where I'm at in my life, how I got there, sharing some tips and tricks. And I just have a hilarious family and friend group. So I thought I would, give them a mic too, and, just talk about things that are close to our heart and have a good laugh. I will say this episode was kind of the first episode that I filmed a while back, and it was in a time in my life where I was proud of where I had come, and I was embarking on this new chapter of, being my most confident self. So this episode is a little bit more serious, and it's more so me sharing stories and giving like tips and tricks. I will say the rest of this season, or the rest of these episodes, are a little bit more lighthearted for sure, and are a little bit funnier, but I think this is a good way to kind of tap into it and start sharing. But I really hope that you guys enjoy it, and thank you so much for clicking play already. And if you do enjoy it and you want to hear more, make sure you follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on our podcast profiles, and give us a rating if you want. But anyways, I'll let you get to it. Bye. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode where we are going to be exploring the pivotal moments that shape our lives and the beautiful transformations that come with them. And we're going to be diving into the concept of independence and the joy of starting or entering a new era in your life. I would say independence is a powerful word. I think it evokes images of freedom, self-reliance, and just the courage to have the ability to carve out our own paths. But a question that I've asked myself, and I would encourage other people to ask themselves, is what does it really mean to embrace independence? Or how can, entering a new phase in your life bring beauty and fulfillment into our lives? So I decided to kind of break this episode up into different segments and kind of give tips and tricks on how to get to that point in your life, but also share stories of my journey and how I kind of got to where I'm at today. So I thought it would be best if we, started from the word itself and defined the word. And defining independence, I would say at its core, it's about the ability to make decisions and act according to our own will. It's about being self-sufficient and having the freedom to pursue our goals with, without the undue influence of others. And for me, that's always been something that I've kind of had to deal with. I think, especially nowadays with social media, when I used to get on it, I would always compare myself or, look at other people's lives and harp on the things that I wish that I had. And it wasn't until I decided to kind of be on social media less that I found, or I started to appreciate what I had more, and I had so much gratitude. I have so much gratitude now, and I wake up every morning and I express my gratitude, or even to, my friends and my family. I started this journey because I knew that I wanted to be a better person for not only for myself, but for the people around me. And I think, disconnecting from things that are just a bad influence, or people that are a bad influence, or like I said, social media is a crucial thing when you're on a journey to finding independence, because, you know, like I said, social media, so many people's lives on there are perfected or are pigmented to be a specific color that's not, you know, their true color, if that makes sense. But independence can take many forms. It might mean, you know, moving out and going to college, or for the first time, or starting your own business, or even breaking free from a toxic relationship, whether that be a materialistic thing, like I said, for me with social media and shit like that, or a person, like a toxic relationship in general. But no matter the context, I think the essence of independence lies in taking control of your own destiny. But independence isn't just about, you know, physical freedom. It's about the emotional and mental autonomy. It's about trusting yourself, believing in your abilities, and having the confidence to stand by your choices. This kind of independence requires a lot of inner strength and resilience. For me, you know, connecting with my therapist, or like I said, taking time away with myself and getting to know myself has been a difficult journey, and it can feel a bit weird at times. Or, you know, one of my favorite quotes is self-care can be selfish, and sometimes I do feel selfish because I'm a person who has big FOMO. I always feel like I'm missing out on stuff, but I've learned, you know, taking care of yourself first and dedicating more time to yourself is crucial. And, you know, that's just one step closer to being the most independent person that you can be. And like I mentioned, I have my therapist. I love her. And I actually asked her, when I was doing research for this specific episode, I asked her, you know, about her thoughts on personal development and independence as a whole. And she said that independence is fundamentally about self-efficacy, the belief in your ability to influence events and outcomes in your life. It's about feeling competent and capable, which is crucial for mental health and well-being. When we feel independent, we're more likely to take risks, pursue our passions, and live authentically. And for me, see, this is exactly why I'm at the point that I'm in today, because she basically just summarized what this whole episode is about. And I think I have her to thank for, you know, providing me with the tool belt of tools to get to where I am. So that's why I decided to kind of share that with people, because, you know, for some people who don't have the resources to go get a therapist, or people that just want to hear it from someone who they might deem a very confident person from the outside. But for the second kind of part of this episode, I wanted to talk about the journey to independence. The journey definitely starts with a desire for change, whether it's a small shift or some type of major life overhaul. You know, the first step is just recognizing that you want something different out of your life. You know, this desire for change can be sparked by many things. It can be a feeling of being stuck, which I feel like we've all been there. The need for personal growth, or the realization that you're not living your true potential. Whatever it is, I think it's important to listen to that inner voice and acknowledge your need for independence. And once you've decided to embrace change, the next step would be planning. You know, independence doesn't happen overnight. It requires careful thought and preparation. You might need to save money, develop new skills, or build a support network, which I think is very important. And so I just think planning overall just helps turn your vision into reality. And during this planning phase, I think it's crucial to set realistic goals. You know, break down your larger objective into smaller, manageable steps. And this not only makes the process less overwhelming, but also allows you to celebrate small victories along the way. But I guess to get a little bit more vulnerable with you guys, which I guess is the main purpose of this whole podcast, to kind of share personal stories about my journey to independence, or my journey to entering this new phase in my life. I'm about to turn 20. I'll probably be 20 by the time this comes out, if things go to plan. And I've been feeling an immense amount of pressure, to grow up and get my life together. And I was like in a spot where I just had so many insecurities, and the fear of not living up to expectations, or feeling like I'm not good enough for certain people, or especially having siblings, like an older sibling. It's like you feel like you have to live up to what they're doing or reach certain things by a certain point, especially with social media. Like I said, people are younger than me and accomplishing so much. So in my head, it's like I'm beating myself up about it, because I feel like I need to hurry up and get my shit together. You know what I mean? But it was during this time that I decided to embark on a journey of self-discovery and create my own name for myself. And and one of the first steps I took was building my kind of like personal brand. And I knew that when I created I knew when I had the idea of like XOXO Xander, I knew that it would be a space where I would share the things that I've trained myself not to say. Like, I feel like I've created a persona, this person that is so perfected and, dresses really nice, smells really good. And all those things are me, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to, building relationships with people or connecting with people on a deeper level, I think that was something that was so hard for me, because that person that I had built was a person that never shared that, because that person was coming from a time in his life where he was getting bullied, or he felt like the things that he was feeling was not okay or not accepted. So I took on, building my brand and building the person that I wanted to be. And I've definitely stepped into that, now. That was probably a few years ago, what I was just mentioning. But when it comes to XOXO Xander, I want this to be like a mini little empire. This podcast is the first step of many. People have told me to do a YouTube channel. I just feel like I'm too much of a perfectionist for a YouTube channel, and I just don't have the time. Or, I've always wanted to do something with clothing, a bunch of different things that I'm hoping will become of this. And this is only the first part. And I thought, why not? But I just realized that I wanted to share my passions and, insights of how I've got to where I am with the world. So that's why I'm here. And it definitely wasn't easy at first, coming up with this idea or building the person that I wanted to be, and, dealing with the amount of change and the fear of judgment and overcoming the self-doubt. But with each, post that I've made on social media, or each interaction or each connection that I've made with my family and friends, I just gained confidence and a sense of purpose through them and through the things that I've been doing. And focusing on my personal development and fitness, fitness also became a crucial part of my journey. I started working out regularly, not just to, improve my physical health, but also to build mental resilience. The discipline and commitment required for fitness helped me develop a stronger sense of self-worth and determination. But another significant aspect of my journey was, coming to terms with my sexuality. As a gay man, a gay black man, I struggled with defining who I was and how I fit into this world that, isn't the most accepting to certain people. It took time and introspection to accept myself fully and embrace my identity. And, I am not only black, but I come from a extremely Christian household because my grandfather was a preacher. So I've dealt with, the issues or the thoughts of just like, why am I this way? Why do I like the people that I like? Why am I not normal? Or how do I change myself? Or how can I be accepted? Or how can I be me, but, deal with the way that people are? And so the only way I kind of overcame this was just, I sought out, supportive communities and resources that helped me navigate this very complex part of my life. And I feel like through all these experiences, I learned that independence is about more than just external achievements. It's about internal growth and self-acceptance. Who gives a fuck about what everybody else got who gives a fuck about what everybody else got going on? It's about being true to yourself and living authentically despite the challenges and uncertainties. And to kind of emphasize on overcoming challenges and building resilience, I think independence is definitely not without its challenges. The road to self-reliance and new beginnings is often paved with obstacles and setbacks, And I decided to kind of jot down some common challenges that you might face and strategies to help you overcome them. First would be dealing with doubt. I think self-doubt can be a major hurdle, and it's important to recognize that, doubt is natural, but it shouldn't hold you back. So I would recommend surrounding yourself with positive influences and remind yourself of your strengths and your past achievements. And, one thing for me that I kind of was struggling with, I guess you could say recently, not too recently, but was my senior year of high school. I accomplished so much, and that was right after a time when the world was on lockdown, and I was just stepping into my full essence of confidence and working on building that person that I wanted to be. And sometimes I tend to downplay all the things that I accomplished in my senior year, but I've started to look back on those and really celebrate those achievements and think about what it took to get there. So yeah. Also managing fear of the unknown. It can be extremely paralyzing. So confronting your fears by breaking down your goals, into smaller, manageable tasks is definitely something that would help. And each step forward will build your confidence and, reduce your anxiety or just make you feel more confident going into certain things. Which leads me to building resilience. Resilience is key to maintaining independence. Cultivating a resilient mindset by embracing challenges as opportunities for growth, learning from your experiences and staying adaptable in the face of change. My mom, I love her so much. I think I get my ability to be so adaptable to certain situations, probably also because I'm a Gemini, not gonna lie. But I feel like when I walk into a room, I can not only just adapt to my space, and still be true to myself. But I just feel, my friends always say it's so easy for me to make friends, but I don't know. I don't let certain people stop me, or I don't let certain people and how they look at the world stop me from expressing who I am. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm gonna be who I am. I'm gonna be what I want to be. I'm gonna wear what I want to wear, and that's just that. And I think if you want to be completely independent, you have to prepare yourself for the fact that everybody is entitled to their own opinion. You know what I mean? And you have to be respectful enough to respect people's opinions, but be resilient enough to understand that you don't have to listen to them, and them expressing their opinion does not mean you need to change, if that makes sense. And lastly, seeking support. While independence is about self-reliance for sure, it doesn't mean you have to go in it alone necessarily. So support from friends, family, mentors, or a therapist. Just having a support system can provide valuable guidance and encouragement like it did for me. So for instance, when I was faced with the challenge of building this brand, I felt overwhelmed by the competitive landscape, of course. If you would have asked me months ago if I would have my opinion on podcasts, even though this has been an idea that I've had for a very long time, probably since like 2020. But if you would have asked me a few months ago, I would have been like, nah, like everybody's doing this shit. Everybody has a mic in their hand and they're talking about stuff. But it is what it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to step into things that you're passionate about, even if everybody is doing, but bring your own twist to it. You know what I mean? Like, don't be afraid to step into that. So that's something that I had to learn. And I reached out to, you know, certain mentors or people that I respect, who had experience in personal, you know, branding, and took their advice to heart, and their guidance helped me navigate the complexities and stay focused on my goals. So to get corny real quick, I came up with, or not even come up with these, but I did research and I found, you know, quotes that are kind of on brand for this episode, and just to further inspire you on your journey to independence and new beginnings. So here's some powerful quotes and reflections that I found. The first one is from Maya Angelou. It is, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." So basically, you know, like I mentioned, I was once in a point in middle school where I was forced into some events that happened, and I did some things that, you know, I'm not proud of, but I decided to overcome them. And I guess to emphasize on those specific events, I was in a point where I didn't really know exactly who I was. And, you know, being in middle school, I wanted to fit in with a certain group of people. So that kind of led me astray from even the journey or the possibility of defining who I am. And I ended up, you know, doing things that I thought would make me likable or make me fit in with that specific group. And some of those things were terrible, like bullying or just indulging in things that I guess at the time didn't know weren't me, but were things that, looking back on it, I would never do. But I guess you could say I'm grateful because, you know, it kind of taught me that's not what I wanted out of my life. So yeah. Another quote would be, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." That is by Ralph Emerson. I think that is so beautiful. And lastly, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not the brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." And that is by Nelson Mandela. And so, listen to me or not, but I would say reflect on these quotes and consider how they apply to your own life, and how can you overcome your fears, you know, blaze your own trail, and not be reduced by challenges you face. But also, I want to just talk about some actionable steps you can take to embrace independence and start a new chapter in your life. I think first would be to set clear goals, you know. Define what independence means to you. What are your specific goals? Write them down and create a plan to achieve them. Get a notebook, get a calendar, plan out your day, and accomplish specific goals. Have an idea of what you're wanting to do. Developing new skills. Identify the skills you need to achieve your goals, or invest in, you know, your learning and self-improvement. This might include taking specific courses, or getting a gym membership, reading books, or even getting a therapist. You know, develop those things, or find out what you need to embark on your journey and accomplish things at your fullest potential. This one is very important. Create a support network. Please surround yourself with people who support your journey. You know, build relationships with those who inspire and motivate you. A strong network, or a strong support system in general, can provide encouragement and practical advice. I don't think I'd be where I am without my friends. So shout out to all my friends. Shout out to all my family. I love you deep. And I appreciate you. You know, it can be the smallest thing, but I just feel so inspired by my friends, whether it be fashion, whether it be conversations that we have, whether it just be the things that we've done together and how we've grown, and seeing my friends grow. I'm so proud of everybody in my circle, and I'm so appreciative to everybody in my circle. And yeah. And lastly, I would say prioritize self-care. This for me is at the top of my list. I am a person who's always been a people pleaser, so taking care of myself is something that I have had to work on very deeply, because taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental health is crucial to this journey. Developing routines that include exercise, healthy eating, and mindfulness practices are very important, and self-care just helps you, like we said, stay resilient and focused. So yeah, that's just kind of the tool belt that I've always had, going into this journey, and what I've learned throughout that. And kind of as we wrap up today's episode, I want you guys to remember that independence is a journey, not a destination. It's about continually striving to live authentically and make choices that align with your true self. And embracing new beginnings can be daunting, but it's also a chance to rediscover yourself and create a life that reflects your deepest values and aspirations. So take time to reflect on your own journey. What does independence mean to you? And remember that independence requires courage, resilience, and commitment to personal growth. It's a beautiful journey that allows you to discover your true potential and create a life that resonates with your core values. Figuring out what you want out of life and, dedicating time towards that, even if it's just getting your notes app and writing down, the person that I want to be and making bullet points. That's one step closer, and yeah, just figuring out your core values in general is just very important, and figuring out your boundaries. All of that play a huge part in creating your plan or your path to independence. That is it for me. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of independence and new beginnings, and kind of opening the door to sharing. Not every episode is going to be like this. Most likely it won't be just me, giving advice. I just thought this was a good place to kind of start. I think if I keep the idea that's in my head. But yeah, the next few episodes are going to be, the door is completely down, the door is open, and we're talking about everything, because honestly, I just feel like there's so much I want to say. Like, I think I've allowed so many people to speak on me, speak on certain incidents, speak on how they think about me, anything. And I feel like it's time for me to be able to speak as well. And not only just do that, but, to have a little kiki and talk to y'all. But anyways, until next time, keep embracing life's turning points and living your most authentic life. XOXO Xander.